Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are back with another brand new Safari LTD release, and not just another one, this is actually the final brand new release for 2024. We have the Saltasaurus, and this one is a very welcome addition to my collection because there aren't very many Saltasaurus figures out there. In fact, one of the only other ones that I can even think of would be the older Safari LTD version, but it's nice to see them updating the figure, giving us a brand new version as the older Saltasaurus has been retired for quite some time, and this one looks really quite nice overall. I do want to give a huge shout out and a thank you to Safari LTD for being incredibly awesome and sending this figure over to me to check out again completely for free to review for you guys. Insanely cool of them. Again, thank you so much for that. And I also have to thank them for giving me a discount code for you guys. It's going to save you guys 15% on your order if you are interested in grabbing this Saltasaurus or any other figures from the Safari LTD website. Make sure you use the code Andy at checkout, and again, save yourself a little money when grabbing yourself some awesome Safari LTD releases. Very interesting colors chosen for this one though, as we have like pinkish tones and purplish tones for a large portion of the body, which is intriguing to see on a sauropod, but it still kind of looks natural overall. So again, they did a pretty good job, I think, as far as the actual application of the paint and making it look, taking kind of more risky colors, I guess you could say, and applying it to a sauropod and finding a way to make it work. So that's definitely a plus for this figure. So let's go ahead, without further ado, we'll jump to a closer look and we'll check it out from there. So starting up here at the head sculpt of the Saltasaurus, you can see it looks pretty nice. Definitely has a nice gentle giant sort of a look to it. Even though it's obviously not one of the largest sauropods, it's still got a really nice looking head sculpt. You can see the skin texture as well, looks pretty good. We've got some nice detail there around the eye, as well as a nicely painted eye with a black and then a gloss coat to it, if my camera would stay focused. We could see the ear back there, of course, and you can see the mouth as well as sculpted pretty decently. Obviously sculpted in a closed position, and you can see some of the pinkish tones kind of running down here onto the head. They do kind of run over the snout, and you can see them kind of leading down, but very smoothly transitioning to this grayish tone that we have for the lower part of the dinosaur. As you begin to move back into the neck, you start to pick up some purple, and as you can see, it begins in a striping sort of a patterning, but then it kind of breaks up, and you can see it kind of striping, but along the sides where it kind of opens up along the spinal column, which is intriguing. As you see down here, you can see, again, we have that grayish tone for the lower body, but there is a dark wash present, which looks pretty good. You can see it kind of creeping in and out of the skin texture as you move down here through the course of the underside of the neck and throat. You can see, again, that definitely looks like a very impressive, quite muscular throat overall. And again, the skin texture and scale detail moving down along the side looks pretty good. There is an area right here where it looks like maybe we had a little too much of that wash applied, but other than that, it looks pretty good. And again, the purple is fairly decently applied as well. As we lead down into the body, we start to pick up one of the most significant areas of this sauropod, and that is that sort of armored area that we have going on for the dinosaur. And you can see all of these armored sort of scoots and everything have been highlighted very nicely with a light dry brushing, and it helps to bring out the detail quite perfectly in that area, and also helps to again help the armored scoots stand out and definitely pop a lot more. And you can see when you get nice and close that the actual detailing of those areas is really impressive. Again, there is a ton of detailing in this area of the Saltasaurus that is extremely, extremely impressive. This one honestly would be actually a lot of fun to repaint. But as you move down here into the leg of the dinosaur, you can see again the scale detail continues to look quite nice. We could see the musculature of the dinosaur without it being overly defined or shrink wrapped or anything. You can see the elbow back there, a little bit of creasing in the joint of the knee, and then you've got the nice foot sculpt here on the front of the dinosaur, if my camera would stay focused on it, which looks pretty good. As you move back up into the stomach, you can see a few more scales, again, that look pretty nice down there on the lower part of the stomach, just basically under the area where those armored sort of scoots and osteoderms end. You can see more of that dark wash helping to pop the detail in that area. And then it might be a little hard to pick up on camera, but you can make out the hip bone there within the armored area of the dinosaur. As you lead down, you again see the muscle definition of the thigh, as well as again that nice looking scale detail, some more creasing in the joint of the knee itself there on the front of the leg. And then of course we lead down, you've got the ankle sculpted pretty nicely. And it's going to be a little hard to really get a good shot of the foot sculpt here because this leg is so close to it, kind of hiding it, but you can see the nails are sculpted nicely, painted with a very dark grayish tone. And then we lead back up here into the tail, and you can see again that the detailing continues to look pretty much as it has through the course of the figure as far as the skin texture and scale detail goes. But when you come up to the top, you will notice, of course, that the armored area of the dinosaur starts to kind of wear off and taper off as we lead out into the tail, and then we almost return back to the same visual we had in the neck of the dinosaur, where we have those purples kind of patterning through the length of the tail, and you can see even the purples do stop at one point, and then we basically just have the pink tail. And again, it looks really nice. I actually really quite like the curvatures there of the tail, almost giving it that sort of whip-like look as our Saltasaurus is walking along. Definitely looks really cool, and the transitioning between the pinks down to the grays is also really smooth, really quite nicely done. As we move along the underside of the dinosaur, you can see it all looks really quite nice again as far as the skin texture and the way that the dark wash has amplified the detail. And as we continue to move along through the underside, you'll see pretty much the same thing through the entire underside of the dinosaur. You'll also notice a pretty significant amount of girth in the stomach region, definitely helping to make our Saltasaurus look nice and healthy. When you take a look at it from over here, the biggest difference you'll notice is the fact that the head and neck is kind of turning away from us. Not a whole lot, but definitely a little bit. And you can see again that the detailing is brought out nicely with that dark wash. We again have the purples and pinks as we move down through the course of the neck. And then as we lead down into the body, obviously the biggest difference you'll see here is the positioning of the legs. The legs are further apart on this side than we saw on the other side. One thing that's good about that is we give a better chance to look at the actual rear foot here, which again you can see what the nails and everything look like, as well as the detailing of the foot. As you lead up, you'll again see that dark wash really quite nicely, honestly, highlighting all of the skin texture and scale detail of our Saltasaurus. You can also see that this front leg is really impressively tensing. You can definitely make that out, especially in that area, because currently this foot is picking up off of the ground to take a step. So this leg would be supporting the entire front half of the dinosaur basically at this point, and you can very nicely see that portrayed in the sculpt of that leg, which is a really nice, very fine detail right there. And then we lead out through the course of the tail. You can see everything again looks really quite nice. We still have that nice dry brushing helping to highlight all of the armored areas. And then we lead out and the tail now curves toward us as opposed to away from us, but also again looks pretty good over here. So without a doubt, a very nice update to the Safari LTD Saltasaurus. As far as a size goes, for a length on the Saltasaurus, you're looking at about 10¼ inches or around 26 centimeters. And then for a height, the highest point would definitely be the back of the head. You're looking at just shy of 3¾ inches, just a little bit under that, or again, a hair under about 9½ centimeters. For a size comparison, there is the Saltasaurus next to the incredible Safari LTD feathered T-Rex, and you can see again, definitely has a fairly decent size to it. I don't know how much bigger it is compared to the older Saltasaurus if you do have that one in your collection. So for a comparison to figure that out, here is the older Saltasaurus from Safari LTD, and you can see they're kind of similar in size, with the newer one being just a hair bigger than we saw on the older one. I will say there are things I like about both. I really love the older one. The biggest improvement, in my opinion, from the older one to the newer one would be the head sculpt. The head sculpt on the newer one is a whole lot nicer, and obviously the detailing of the body and everything I would say is a whole lot nicer on the newer one. The one thing that I was a big fan of for the older one was the color scheme. I think the color scheme on that one looks really nice, and I wouldn't mind seeing the newer one in the older kind of, original Saltasaurus color scheme. But I do still like the colors of the new one as well, but definitely partial more so to the older one in my opinion as far as the colors go, but way more partial to the newer one as far as the sculpt goes. And then when it comes to a few other Safari LTD sauropods, first of all we have the Dinosaur here next to our Saltasaurus, showing you that these two as well are fairly similar in size. We've also got the older version of the Amargasaurus. Now, I brought this one in as opposed to the newer release of the Amargasaurus because this one is a lot closer in size to the Saltasaurus here. The newer Amargasaurus from Safari LTD is quite a bit larger, so I feel like this one just compares better with this figure. We've also got the Safari LTD Brachiosaurus, which you can see that figure as well. Again, just looks gorgeous next to our Saltasaurus. It's just so fun seeing so many different Safari LTD sauropods, but for a comparison that is not a sauropod. We've also got the Safari LTD Baryonyx, which I know is a very popular release from them, so one that I definitely wanted to bring in next to the Saltasaurus. And then for one final comparison, just because these two have released at the same time, we have the Saltasaurus and Nanuqsaurus next to each other right here, just to kind of give you one final idea of how these two figures size up next to each other as well. So this brand new Safari LTD Saltasaurus is definitely another really nice figure from them. Definitely exciting in general because it's so great to see sauropods. We just don't see sauropods nearly as often as we should, which makes no sense to me because they are so iconic. Like, you know, when you are a fan of dinosaurs, especially when it comes to kids, they're either usually going to choose some sort of a meat-eating, theropod, most definitely the Tyrannosaurus Rex, or a sauropod, because kids are always just so enamored with sauropods. And I can say as an adult collector, I as well am the same way. Again, I just love sauropods. There is just something just so graceful and so incredible about a nice sauropod, and they have captured the overall beauty and charm of Saltasaurus very nicely with this release. Again, it's just so exciting in general also because there are so few Saltasaurus out there, so it is nice to see this dinosaur getting its due. And I think they did a really good job, especially on the sculpt. The sculpt is fantastic from head to tail. It's very highly detailed, just really well done overall. Looking nice and peaceful, just kind of lumbering along on its way. And again, at the same time, looking incredibly impressive, especially with that very armored sort of a look that the Saltasaurus has. The coloration as well is pretty decently applied. It wouldn't be my first choice as far as colors go because I'm not a huge fan of pinks on dinosaurs, but as I said earlier, it's impressive how Safari LTD took a color like that you wouldn't think. Like, if you just think of it in your head, off the top of your head, you think a pink sauropod, like that just does not look like it would work. However, Safari LTD somehow has found a way to actually make it work and make it look natural on the figure, which is impressive to me. That's not something that you see very often, and because it is a little bit out of the ordinary for what you usually see for sauropods, I think that makes it even more appealing because, again, it's almost a breath of fresh air to see something, a good bit different as far as these dinosaurs go. So overall, without a doubt, this is a figure worth picking up and easily a large improvement over the older Saltasaurus that they had released. So if you are interested in grabbing this, I will include a link in the description to where you can head on over to the Safari LTD website and grab it right now. But before you do that, make sure you take the code Andy with you and grab yourself this dinosaur or any other dinosaurs or any other figures in general on the Safari LTD website using the code Andy to save 15% on your order so that you can save a little bit of money again when picking this up. So make sure to check those links, go grab this gorgeous figure, and like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.